Welcome. Today we're going to talk about the Brydge keyboard for the 12.9-inch Pro. You can see it, iPad Pro. It's right over my shoulder here. Now, to make one update, today is literally the day. It is June 3rd that they announced iPad OS. So in that comes mouse support, and this doesn't have it on it. So we're going to call it out right now. This is pre any future keyboard that Brydge is going to release with possible trackpad to have mouse support or pointing device support for iPad OS. Now to get started, the way you put your iPad in this case is it's got two little clips, and you simply press your iPad into it. It's a fairly firm fit. In fact, it is firm enough you have to give it some pressure to put it in, and I would never say it's so much pressure that you feel like you're going to damage your iPad Pro, but it's certainly enough pressure that I feel comfortable grabbing my iPad Pro with the keyboard attached by the screen and picking the whole thing up. And I'm not worried it's going to slide out. It's fine in there. There's no trouble. These metal clips have like rubber feet inside them, or rubber wraps inside them, and that the wraps are what actually grabs the iPad Pro. As far as connection, when you get it, you power it on by just touching the power button, and then you hold the Bluetooth button until it shows up in your Bluetooth settings. Just like any Bluetooth device, it pairs pretty much instantly. It's really nice, really easy. It powers on really fast as well. It's not like other things where you have to like hold or wait a few seconds. You just touch the power button and it basically instantly powers on, and it's connected right away. I've been very happy with how fast this connects, especially compared to like my older Logitech K11 or my Kinesis Freestyle Solo Blue. They both take multiple seconds to connect, and this just powers on and connects instantly. Now, that's not to say it's all flawless, because something I did like about the Logitech Slim Folio Pro, which I reviewed last week, was that when you put the case or the iPad in its stand and you click the magnet into the base of the keyboard, it just automatically connected right away. This doesn't do that. You are going to have to remember to disconnect the keyboard if you pull your iPad out of the case. You're going to have to remember to do that so that you don't get somewhere and realize somewhere else in your house, and I do this sometimes, and I realize, there's a keyboard connected. Now, of course, I can just go to Bluetooth settings and say disconnect. That's fine. But still annoying. Remember to turn it off if you do not have it connected at the time. Now, battery life for the Brydge keyboard. It's been stellar, like phenomenally stellar. In fact, and one thing this does that the Logitech Slim Folio didn't do is it reports the battery life in iOS settings in the widget. So let's actually ask via Siri what the battery life is. Hey Siri, what's the battery life of my keyboard?
Your Curtis's iPad 12.9 is at 75, Brydge 12.9 Pro at 87, and Pencil is at 100%.
So as you can see here, it says Brydge. It says 87%. Now, when I first got this, I actually plugged it in overnight. I was in the middle of reviewing the Logitech Slim Folio. I was actually recorded the video that day and had it charging up on a shelf behind me. And I left it charging for, say, 12 hours or so. And Brydge actually says, don't do this. It says charge it for 3 hours max. That's it. Or you're going to shorten the battery life. So I've only actually seen 90% reported in my battery settings. And it's basically lost 3% since I started using it about a week ago, just about a week ago. I started using it. I put a couple like 5-hour days, 6 hours, like 6 hours where I look and I've used, AI Writer, Working Copy, Vim, like all of my things where I'm typing a lot, and I've done them like for good chunks of the day, and I'm down 3% on battery. So I'm not sure if the 90% is because I overcharged it or if there's some other issue, but regardless, they say you're going to get a year worth of battery if you type 2 hours a day. And if you have the backlight on, there's 3 levels of backlighting with, access by one button. It's just click, 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 and it goes, brightness, brightness, it increases, and then it turns it off. There's no like toggle back and forth, which I like that. Actually, it's kind of a wasted key now that I think about it on the Logitech Slim Folio Pro, that you can take it up and down. It's like 3 settings, just like click it the 4 times to go all the way up and then turn it off again. I like that more. But they say if you have the backlight on, you're gonna get 20 hours of battery life. Really, say I did damage the battery and I've lost 10% of my battery life, I've lost 3% battery in a week. I'm really not concerned. I'm gonna get like months out of the one battery on this. And the best part is I can check it. And so when I go away in August to a conference, I can check just before I go and say, do I need to charge this? And if I do, I can plug it in for 3 hours and be full, and then not worry about it anymore. For another number 4 or 5 months again. So that'll be great. I really like that. I love that it has the battery levels in the iOS widgets. Now, case quality. Manufacturing wise, this is nothing short of stellar. Doesn't matter what pictures you've seen, what videos you've seen, and you think, wow, that looks beautiful. Because I've watched them all too. I've watched all the the people who got them early. I've watched them. I've looked at photos. I looked at tons of stuff. It looks nicer in person than anything else I've seen. I got it, I put it all together, and I looked at it and I just wanted to smile. This looks a lot like the laptop that I want Apple to make. It looks so nice. And on top of that, the keyboard is stellar. Like, it's nothing short of stellar. It's a great, great case. The design is nice. It looks good. The keyboard does not touch the screen. There's little rubber bumpers, and those rubber bumpers touch the screen. And then the hinges on the backside keep the iPad from touching the screen as well. It's a great one. It's a great case. It's great design, great quality. I was gonna say Velcro, but the magnet attachment on the back that puts it's just a cover on the back of your iPad. Also really nice, feels good. I've only used it for about a week now, so I can't say how long it's going to last, but it feels really nice, and it feels like a high quality piece of material, and it snaps off and on really well. So I really like it that way. I think that, again, the keyboard is it's stellar. It looks beautiful. When I first actually pulled it out, I tried to adjust the hinges with my thumbs, and I was like, whoa, those are so tight. But they're not actually that tight. They're actually really good. They are, when you have your iPad in there and you have the extra weight, the extra leverage from the iPad, you don't even notice that the hinges are tight. They're like perfect is what they are. They're perfect. That doesn't mean that there aren't a few issues with it. Primarily, it would actually be that the bottom edge of your iPad screen is actually level with the keyboard. So that means to make the swipe up from the bottom gesture, you kind of have to poke at the keyboard a little bit or at the case a little bit to get low enough to do that. Now, what I found over the last week is that I missed a few in the first day, and I missed maybe 1 or 2 after that, and I don't actually know when I've missed them in the last few days again. I've kept this basically on my iPad for the last, for that week, and I'm missing it less and less, but you do miss it once in a while, and I look at it, I'm like, I wish it was just up like a millimeter or 2 millimeters. Like, it doesn't have to be much, and if it was up just a little bit more, it'd be great. Now, that would also mean that they have to extend the keyboard so that when you clamshell it closed, it all lines up together. So you'd add a little bit of weight there. And that's actually one knock I would have against it, that it is actually almost heavier. It's a little bit heavier than the iPad. But we're going to get to weight in a minute. I'll give you all the specs on the weight of everything in a minute. Now, because it's hinged, it really has essentially any angle, just like a laptop would. You can crank it all the way back. You can bring it all the way forward, up till about the last 10 degrees. In the last 10 degrees, the iPad will fall flat on its back, like the screen is facing the sky. And if you bring it all the way forward to just about closed, in the last couple degrees, it wants to drop flat against the keyboard. Again, those rubber feet, I never have been worried that it's going to do any damage to it. It's just something to note. And these angles are so far to the extremes that I'm not even sure I've seen anyone ever use it. Certainly totally stable if I'm standing at the counter, which is a higher surface, and I need to tilt the screen back farther. This is something that Logitech couldn't do. This does it great. I can type at the counter, no problem, and it just feels comfortable as a laptop would anyways. Clearly it'd be better if it's up at eye height, but it's as comfortable as a laptop is. It's just great. It's a really good viewing angle experience. Also on my lap, feels really stable, really steady, and it's an aluminum shell. So like I thought when I reviewed the Logitech, that the aluminum shell keyboard it's solid. So where the Logitech felt a little flimsy and you could feel it flexing as you typed, this simply doesn't. It types like a solid block of aluminum with some keys in it. It's great. It's very stable on your lap, and again, you can have any angle you want. So whether I'm legs out, legs up on a footstool, feet flat on the ground, or cross-legged, I can adjust the screen to exactly where I want it for that given working situation. Now, another drawback here, though, is that because it's hinges, as opposed to the Logitech, which had a back support that came up behind the iPad, is that the screen is less stable. So when you touch it, you do get some shake in the screen. You do notice that a bit. I noticed it transitioning for sure. I also noticed the keyboard, the keys are better on this, and I noticed that right away. Actually felt off at first, but now that I've used it, really good. Whereas the Logitech was, again, just stable. And this is not. Now, again, after using it for a couple days, I didn't notice this anymore. It was just in my initial notes, and I thought, oh yeah, I did. And I tapped it. I was like, oh, it does shake a little bit, but It's not that I actually notice it day to day or that it bothers me. It doesn't impede my usage of my device at all. So really good that way as well. Just note that it will have some shake, especially in the top corners as you're doing touch on the iPad. Now, another feature I really liked about the Logitech Slim Folio Pro is that it had the Apple Pencil on top and had a flap that covered the Apple Pencil and magneted the whole case together. This doesn't have it. It just, you close it and that's it. The Apple Pencil hangs out on its own on top of the iPad. I've actually kind of not even had my Apple Pencil with me most of the time. Now, I use it as a bit of a pointing device. I use it for some minor photo editing. I'm not drawing with it really a lot, so I don't miss it that way, but I just feel bad that I don't have it with me. So I forgot it lots, or it's been like falling off and it's in my bag. Yeah, because it just hangs on the edge of your iPad, so it just falls off. When the magnets are good, but when you stick it in your bag or slide it into the laptop sleeve or the the interior sleeve in my GoRec bag, it just falls off. So I kind of wish they had something like that. We're going to talk about that in a minute though too. Now the front of the Brydge keyboard has a little indentation that you could in theory stick your thumb in. I suppose some people can. I can't get my thumb in there to be any use, so I just grab both sides of my iPad, give it a little lift, and it just separates slightly, and then I can get my fingers right inside and open up the entire device. So that's fine. The indent looks cool, but I haven't found it that useful because I guess I got fat thumbs. I can't use it. Fat thumbs. Now, just like the Logitech Slim Folio Pro, I've got some complaints about the Brydge when I'm cooking. And the complaint is that it is 21.5 centimeters long, so away from the iPad screen. That's 8.4 inches. That compares to 13 centimeters or 5.1 inches for the Logitech Slim Folio Pro. That means it sticks that 21.5 centimeters out into my working area. The Brydge does have a, like you can remove it, spin it around, stick it back in, and the keyboard would stick out the back. You can do that. I just wish it didn't take that. I wish that the hinges rotated all the way around, and they don't. We'll show you. So the hinges rotate flat, but that's it. That's as far as they go. I would love it if it rotated all the way around, and so it was in its L configuration, but it doesn't do that. Now, yes, rotating into the L configuration would put the keys on whatever work surface you're on. Yes, I did say I have children, and they make a mess of everything, and then I'd have crumbs on the keys. I'd still totally have crumbs on the keys for that, though. It would be a worthy trade-off with me. I'm not sure why they stopped the hinge where they did, but they did. I wish you could just flip it all the way around. That would be great. Yeah. Why don't you do that, Brydge? Come on, let's do it. How heavy is the Brydge keyboard with the iPad Pro? So let's get some real numbers together, and together they weigh 1,544 grams, which is 3.4 pounds. That's including the back cover and including the pencil. The Brydge keyboard alone, just the keyboard, nothing else with it, weighs 699 grams, 1.542 pounds. The iPad Pro 12.9, mine does, weighs in at 670 grams, 1.41 pounds. So the Brydge is actually heavier than the iPad. When I did the weighing of my cheap Amazon case, which I've got it right here, this thing, along with the Logitech K11, which has been now my wife's, so I don't have it with me, it came in, they both came in at about 350 grams. So overall, it's ultimately pretty close to the same weight. And the Slim Folio came up to the same thing too. The Logitech Slim Folio Pro is about the same weight as well. According to Apple specs on their laptops, here's what they are. A MacBook is 920 grams, 2 pounds. MacBook Air is 1,250 grams, 2.75 pounds. A 13-inch MacBook Pro is 1,370 grams, 3.02 pounds. And a 15-inch MacBook Pro, we're finally into something heavier than this setup here, is 1,830 grams or 4.021 pounds. Now, you may wonder why someone would put this light iPad Pro with this case and then effectively double the weight of it. Like, it is heavier now than a MacBook. It is heavier than a 13-inch MacBook Pro. Now, it's also faster, but it's heavier than that. It doesn't always have to be a computer like this. It can totally be just an iPad, right? That's it. You can pull it out of the case and it's just an iPad, and then it's back to lighter than everything. And that's the thing. And it also runs iOS, which has shortcuts, right? I know we're going to see shortcuts and other stuff in the next version of Mac OS, but it has shortcuts. It's got the single windowed environment that I really like, where you can focus on the one app. Now, as far as the keyboard layout goes, it's got a keyboard as wide as any of the Mac laptops. I didn't actually measure the height, but I'm going to say it's the same, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. It's as wide. It is It's basically just as spacious. It is more spacious than the Logitech Slim Folio Pro for sure. And on top of that, it's way better to type on than the Logitech Slim Folio Pro and than any of the Apple laptops. In fact, I think their keyboards are so bad, they're not even in the running as far as a keyboard goes compared to this. This has far more travel. It feels like it's got more space. Like, it just feels like a much nicer typing experience. Now, they have like some great keys. They've got a standard home key. They've got a lock key right in the top corner. I love the home key. I actually found today, as I did pull out my desktop setup and used the clamp, had my iPad up in the clamp, and used my ergonomic keyboard. I kept wanting to hit escape as the home key. It's not the home key on that keyboard. I like the home key. It's got one button to adjust the level of brightness for your backlight. Probably my favorite keys, and I didn't realize I loved this so much. Although I should have, because I adjust the screen brightness on macOS all the time. On my laptop I did. But I love that it has dedicated brightness keys for your iPad. If you want to increase the screen brightness, decrease the screen brightness, you just hit the buttons. I'll show you. Just hit the button. Can you see? Oh, you can see. Yep. Like, just hitting one button. Now the other button to go up. I love it. Now to finish off the top row of keys, you've got a key that shows the on-screen keyboard. Great. I don't think I've ever used it. I don't type emojis enough even. Then it's got your skip track keys, and it's got your play pause key and your volume up and down. It does not have a dedicated mute button like some keyboards have, but if you hold the volume down for like 2 seconds, it just mutes automatically. So I don't see what the problem is there. It's got a dedicated battery key for if you're going to check battery life. There's some LEDs, and the flashes red if it's under 20%. If you hold the battery key, and it reports it in iOS widgets. I don't know. Maybe they just need to fill a key space. It's got the Bluetooth connection key, which you're not going to use after you connect, and then it's got the power button, which you're going to use if you take it out. That's the top row of keys. It's got possibly my favorite. You actually saw me when I checked the battery level use this already, is the dedicated Siri key. I am using that more often now, and I've done some more custom Siri commands for shortcuts, the Siri shortcuts commands, to make sure that I am actually finding some use in it. And I like it way better than that stupid world key that the Logitech Slim Folio Pro had. Now, I've already said this a few times, but typing on the Brydge keyboard is delightful. It's amazing. I don't even know what else to say. It's amazing. Some improvements. I've already talked about these, really. I'd love to be able to rotate the hinge all the way around. Yeah, the keyboard and the crumb thing. Great. I'd love it to be lighter. I say this, but then at the same time, the iPad is a certain weight. And you see, like, it's balanced here nicely, right? If I give it a tap, the keyboard doesn't move. If it gets much lighter, if it gets too light anyways, it's going to flip over. And then you're going to complain that it doesn't stand up like a laptop. Why did you even make this? So I don't know what to say there. Like, I'd love it to be lighter just because I'd like it to be lighter in general. I'd love to say, oh no, it's actually just as light as a MacBook, or even lighter than a MacBook. That'd be great. But it's not. So it's just not. So I don't know what they can do there, right? I'd happily, if it could be done, give up 6 months of battery life to get a lighter keyboard. But they have to counterweight the iPad keyboard, or they need to put a kickstand on the back of it. Like, that just seems like they're kind of, not doing a good job then. It seems like they're kind of killing the whole idea behind it. The thing I'd love, and I'm actually going to grab the cheap Amazon case to show this. Some sort of pen holder. See it here, this is like I think it was like $10 US case. See, when I wanted to put the iPad in this, I would just go like that. There's my pencil. I never forgot my pencil there. Right, and I'd get someplace. I need to charge it. I just snap it on top and I'd be charging. That's great. Yeah, I miss that. I'd love to see it on the back of the magnetic case somehow. I know there's pen loops, other stuff like that I could get and just have it with me. I wish they had some integrated solution like that. That'd be great. Here's the final one for you. Should you buy the Brydge keyboard cover or keyboard case for your iPad Pro? I can only speak to the 12.9. It is by far the best typing experience. I'm actually writing for the Sweet Setup. I don't know when this will be out. It'll be out soon about this keyboard, and along with Rosemary Orchard. And she's going to write about the smaller one, the 11-inch version. Now, it is tinier, so you're going to have a little more cramped key experience. I can't speak to that. But as far as this goes, if you're like a full-time typist, like I write and I code in Vim. So that's all, keyboard-based anyways. I code with another tool called Tmux, keyboard-based. I code, like, this is what I do. I code keyboard-based and I write. That's what I do. I edit some photos. I do video work like you're watching right now, but I type. If you're typing lots like that, there's nothing else that even compares. It's not cheap though. It's still cheaper than Apple's keyboard, but it's heavier. So Apple's keyboard is what, I think $260 Canadian. This is $230 with exchange, $169.99 US, and I think the Apple one is $199 US. So for that less money, you actually get a far superior typing experience. You do have to charge it every so often. The Apple one uses the smart connector, so you don't have to charge it. But I mean, the battery life is so long, I'm not even sure how I can complain about that. If it seems like crazy expensive to do that, then maybe not. If you're only going to type sometimes, then you might even look at something like the Touch Type Pro. There'll be a link to this in the description. And in the Touch Type Pro, it's like a folio case. It wraps around. Say, check out the link. It's a cool video. And you use the Apple Magic Keyboard with it. So you got to take your own keyboard. But again, remember that keyboard. Like I have an old Apple Magic Keyboard upstairs with the roll and the batteries. So I'll have to buy a new keyboard for it. So it will, by the time I buy a keyboard, it will be about as expensive as this for me. But it's also, I can take the keyboard off. In that case, just take the keyboard off and just have like a folio. And then I don't have the keyboard and I'm back down and wait again, right? I could use that folding keyboard that I showed you in the last video, the one that like folds it. It's like basically as big as my 6S Plus. So I could take that and again, reduce weight. There's lots of things you can do with that. So that's another interesting case, which I already ordered coming in September. They're just, they're doing Indiegogo Kickstarter to get their initial order. They've done them a few times. So I should get it unless they screw up for, their fourth time running through it. If you type a lot, get the Brydge. If you don't type a lot, maybe not. It is, it is heavy. And so you really have to want that good typing experience. So yeah, I would heartily recommend this. This is a good keyboard, by far the best typing experience. Battery life's phenomenal. It looks gorgeous. Like, again, it looks way better than it does in any of the pictures. So get the Brydge. You can find some links in the show notes. You can find some to the Amazon one, and they don't actually have the current ones, but then also to the order on the Brydge website. You'll find the link to that as well. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. If you want to support the channel, you can do that by going to curtismchale.ca/Patreon and join my Patreon. And yeah, contribute and help me keep making videos, help me keep buying stuff so that I can review it, talk about it as far as iPad productivity goes.